do you feel tired? Like in a way where you don't want to do things. Perhaps physically you just like don't want to move. Let's say another one's like homework. Just don't want to do homework. I don't want to do projects. I think all of these have in common is that I don't want to do hard things, or I don't want to experience negative emotions. I'm doing homework. It's like, this is homework. I don't want to do it. When I think about a project, disgusting. I don't want to do it. Hard things, negative emotions. That's what these things have in common. It's a sort of mental exhaustion. And I'm sure you have felt it. I'm sure you've had these days where, you procrastinate way more than you should. They're so unproductive. You feel guilty and bad about it. Then maybe you go on to masturbate, try to forget the negative emotions. And then, okay, you do that, and then after you're done, you feel even more guilty for it because that was an escape. Certainly, I felt this fog in my head past couple of days. This yearning for increasing entertainment. And the thing is, I was already getting plenty of stimulation and entertainment. I just wanted more. I just wanted more and more and more. More exciting, more thrilling, just more. More stimulation. I was yearning for more mangas, new mangas, more YouTube videos, newer YouTube videos, more content. And all three of these have one thing in common, and that's dopamine. I wanted more dopamine. And as I got more and more dopamine, I got burnt out on it. I had too much. Just like you can have too much of everything. I had too much dopamine and I needed to stop. Currently, I have lines that I will not cross. But in the past, I certainly have crossed these lines. In the past, I've binged anime, played video games, done all this stuff, except for drugs. I've never got into drugs, which is a good thing. But I think that's primarily because of my family, and I might have gotten into drugs without them. But binging anime, watching YouTube, playing video games, it's functions on the same level. It's just not as addictive. I mean, I was a freaking animal. I remember, I'd have 3 screens. I would be playing on my laptop. I would have an iPad for, watching YouTube videos. And then maybe, my phone for, also, searching up things for the video game. And I was it was bad. Perhaps you identify with this. Maybe less. Maybe more. And the thing is, you need to stop. This can't go on forever. You feel terrible every single day after you're done. It feels good when you start. The first hour, it feels great. 4th hour, not so great. 10th hour, pretty bad. 13th hour, you're still doing it, but it just doesn't feel good. You're just doing it just to do it. But you keep on doing it because it takes you away from the negative emotions. Right? Because once you stop, and you know this deep in your mind, because once you stop, you feel the negative emotions. And to avoid them, you go back into the game. You go back into social media, into platforms such as YouTube. You go back into things to avoid your negative emotions. And be honest, how many more days do you want to look back on with guilt? Guilt that you didn't do anything except for playing video games for the entire day. Wasting the entire day to just grind for that one mythical item. That one mythical item. It was worth it. You tell yourself. I told myself. It was worth it. But deep down we know it wasn't. Right, it might have felt good in the moment. What about after? Was it really worth it? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it really is. In video games, sometimes it is. You achieve something substantial. That's great. But other times, it's not. You just feel empty. And I'm here to tell you that you can stop. You can stop this. And you're not going to like what I'm about to say. Right? You're just not going to. Because what happens when you have too much water in a pool is that you need to empty it. Sometimes you need to drain it completely. And this is the same thing. To stop this fog in your mind, to stop this overexhaustion, you need to stop dopaminergic things. You need to quit substances. If you're on any substances, you need to quit those. Technology, content aggregation sites like YouTube, Reddit, TikTok. These are platforms where you can like endlessly doom scroll, basically. You can go on it thinking that, oh, I'm only gonna do this for like 3 minutes, and then you end up for like 10 hours wasted. I mean, you can literally go on these sites and be on them for your entire life without ever stopping. Like, if you could like just have everything taken care of, like your biological needs, you could just be on this until the end of your life. And that's what they're designed for. In other words, porn, or masturbation, or sex, really, because they all lead to dopamine hits. Another is unhealthy food, chips, fried stuff, all the food that makes you feel, oh yes, I love that, it's delicious, let's go. All that stuff. Shopping and gambling, spending money. I have the money to spend, and I bought this. Oh, I feel so good after buying this. Oh, I feel so good after buying this lottery ticket, and I won. Oh, let's go. Of course, that really doesn't happen. You buy a lottery ticket and then you don't win, but you still feel good in the moment when you purchase the lottery ticket. And finally, thrills. I don't think it's really that common to like have thrills every single day, unless you live a really thrilling life. Who knows? But do you need to take all these out? No. Right? That would be unrealistic. If I expected you to, just take all 6 of these out. But no, that's not what you need to do. Just pick one. Just one. Right? Pick one and cut it out. Minimize it as much as you can. Because if you're really struggling, one will be challenging enough. And things over time, as you integrate these into your habits, you can quit more and more. And certainly if you can, you want to quit as many as you possibly can. I mean, of course you don't want to overdo this because that'll just lead you to burnout, and therefore quitting, essentially. But if you can handle quitting more than one, do that. But you don't want to quit too much, because once you do, and you fail, you're going to go back into them. Right? You're going to go back into them even stronger now. And what that's going to do is, that's going to reinforce the behavior. Right? You're basically becoming an addict. Because what does an addict do? They get hooked, they quit, they get hooked again, they relapse, they quit, relapse, quit, relapse, quit, relapse, quit, relapse. And this continues on and on. Because you're teaching yourself that, once I quit, I'll eventually come back. That's what you're teaching yourself. And you don't want to do that. So you want to gradually do it. So for duration, you want to do this for 2 weeks first. Just a general time period, just detox from these things. Do a dopamine detox for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, alright? And the goal is to just be on a consistent detox for this entire time period where you're away from that one particular thing. And then the eventual goal is to have a complete dopamine detox where you are completely away from anything that really gives you a lot of dopamine. That's the end goal, right? Where you're away from all of these things. And it's hard. But the first step is to cut out one thing. Cut out one thing that is making you overstimulated. And then as you can manage, slowly cut out even more things until you reach the apex of dopamine detoxes. And after that final dopamine detox, this is far in the future, but this is something to look forward to. You can slowly add things back in. Of course, there are things that you should never add back in. Substances. This should really should not need clarification. You should not add back cocaine, right? You shouldn't. Porn. Porn's a fantasy. It's not real. And it's only going to make your expectations unrealistic. More unrealistic than they already are from movies and TV shows and whatnot. The third, and it's going to be very controversial, is video games. To be honest, if you play video games alone, you should not put them back in. Right? You really just shouldn't. If you play video games alone, just no. Because what I found is that when I play video games alone, I will spend so much time on it. Because I'm not inhibited by I need other people to play with. I can just always do this. I'm always on the video game then. So maybe you're like this. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not as susceptible to video games as I was. If you're not, then okay, fine. I mean, this is all advice at the end of the day. But these things have affected me the most. And they probably have affected your life the most. So at the end of the day, you really want to do this. Because it will change your life forever. It will change your life. Personally, honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing until I did. Like I didn't even learn about this, but then I just started doing it, and I felt so much better. I mean, I just thought that doing like these certain things were like distracting me, and then I just quit them. And then what happened was I became more happy, more excited, more willing to overcome challenge. I mean, it has made me so productive. It's kind of unbelievable. There are days that I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm shocked at how much I've done. I mean, at the beginning of the day, it's like I'm stressed at so much. Like, I need to do so much for today or whatever. And at the end of the day, I was like, wow. Wow, I just did all of that. Wow. That's awe. That's awe of myself. That's happiness. That's bliss. This feeling of accomplishment. And I want that for you because it feels amazing. It feels amazing at the end of the day knowing that you did something. You did something with your day compared to where you didn't do anything in the day, where you took a week to do a day's work, whereas you now can do a week's worth in a day.